आपको डायरेक्ट देते भैया।
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to GIC Online Startup Session. I, Ankit Rajab, along with Megha Upadhyay, welcome each and everyone for today's webinar session on digital media and brand building for startups, organized by Jabalpur Smart City and Jabalpur Incubation Center. As invited resource, today with us we have Mr. Devang Dave. So we welcome you, sir, on behalf of Jabalpur Smart City and Jabalpur Incubation Center. Okay, let me.
Thank you for having me here. I think it would be wonderful
Yes,
to interact with all the startups here.
चलेगा अपना क्या करने का?
yeah. Let me introduce our today's speaker, Mr. Devang Dave. He is a managing director at Social Central Media Solution. And a Social Central Media Solution is a digital marketing solution provider which handles renowned clients across India. He is also an executive director at Navyuk, which is working with the vision to create and develop entrepreneurship education ecosystem for higher education institute. Mr. Devang Dave followed the philosophy which mentioned more the problems you face in life, more the experience you gain in life. Now, I request you, sir, please start your session.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am sure when we talk about startups, I started this journey a long time before. I started this with a concept in my mind that when our Prime Minister says that India has to grow. When India has to grow, it is very important that we create more entrepreneurs than job seekers. The historical problem with our mindset was something that all our families made us grow in terms of that you have to get good marks so that you can get good admission in good colleges. When you ask why you have to go to good colleges for an admission, they will simply come back saying "Ki, there you will get good jobs, there you will get good companies, there you will get good packages. So entire childhood is just driven by a purpose of getting marks in order to achieve a better college, and in order to achieve why a better college is to achieve a better job. And that's how we are trained through all our life to be a job seeker and never a job maker or job giver. I think post 2014, India's time have changed. And for India to progress, the young generation has to progress even faster. And for that, it is important that we all think together as more as job givers than job seekers. And that is where I think the Jabalpur Smart City Incubation Center is helping you all in terms of creating more and more jobs, creating innovative ideas, and creating a platform where you all can be supported in a manner. It is always said that India was never a startup destination, but I always looked it with a puzzle that जितना जुगाड़ इंडिया में होता है शायद देश में पूरे दुनिया में कहीं नहीं होता होगा. And that is where the innovation comes. We are all used to small jugards to make our own ways for things to work. Our nation is a young nation, so yet there was a lot to come. And now I think globally, India is at second or third in terms of number of startups that has been generating across the globe. And I am sure today's youth is really focusing on this upcoming new challenges, which will solve the major challenges of the nation with their innovation. And in all of this, the new digital media has played an important role, and that is where the startups need digital information, need social media to reach out to the citizens. If we go through today's agenda, we will cover up 2, 3, 4 major topics. One is the history of social media. Why is social media or digital media so important in today's world for anybody and everybody? The current scenario and how social media is helping startups to grow actually. And then tips of how every startup can grow. So when we say history of social media, when we go into the history, we need to see it is not that it has come up in some last few years. Such innovations were working for years and years and years. So, for example, first such social media site was launched back in 1997, 6 degrees. So, for example, people who are old enough, who were young at that time would know the importance of how people connected. And then there was MySpace, then there was Orkut. If some of you have been on Orkut, you will know that that was the first popular community space where people came together. For students, there was a different community space, bharatstudent.com, which was launched in India. And then we have Facebook, now we have Twitter, Instagram, and all other things coming in, the platforms coming in. Now, if you see at that time, the Orkut size was so popular, but again, the another thing to know is this: all these social media and digital platforms and the ever-changing scenarios, everything changes very quickly. So, as a startup, we should never be rely on any specific platform in terms of how things change in this digital world. For example, Orkut between 2007 and 8, it has a change of 81%. Facebook, it has a change of 150%. Similarly, ibibo.com went down by minus 50%. Other websites went down and down. And over the period of time since between 2008 and 2012, the Orkut simply vanished. So, how things change is also very important when you look at the history and utilization of social media. It is important that you know all this history. So, whenever you invest, you work on any particular platform, you should know that things are not going to be saved over the period of time and it will change. And in a simple, small time, Facebook surpassed Orkut in about only 1 year time between 2009 and 10. Everything changed in 1 year. So the people and the companies active at that time would have been seen this scenario that in this ever-changing world, nothing is permanent. Current social media, we see, for example, popular platforms such as Facebook, YouTube, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter. Suddenly, there was a new platform which came as TikTok, and it garnered so many opportunities for the world. It got very popular. People were there using it globally. Now it is banned in many of those countries, but still it's an emerging platform across the globe. So what is important is why and how this social media helps us. How brands are making optimum use of social media. This is what is important to know, because whenever you are growing a startup, you will have audience, you will have customers, you will have investors, you will have people who will speak about your brand, you will have influencers. Everybody combined together on this platform is going to talk about you, whether good, whether bad, whether neutral. Everything today is there actively on media. If you are selling a service, if you are selling a product, if you are manufacturing something, anybody who is purchasing or who is the customer is going to write about you, going to talk about you to their friends, to their colleagues, and that is how a brand is actually made, or the brand is taken down. So it is very important to have capture on the narrative of what people are talking about you. And because when they write on social media, not only their friends and families, but it has an exposure to the larger world. For example, if I am purchasing a product today, or I am taking a service, and I might like it, I may write it on social media or not. But if I dislike it, I am 100% going to write it. So that's where it becomes important for all the startups to have their narrative from day one onto what is people's perception about their startup, their services, and their products. So creatively engaging communication that will connect with the audience is by means of graphic, by means of videos, by means of innovative text lines. And it is most important to get connected to your audience. Again, it helps with targeted advertising. For example, when social media was not there, the means of communication or means of advertising were very limited. So we were all dependent on newspapers and television channels, which are much more costlier in terms of for a small startup to reach out to. But social media and targeted advertising have ensured brands to reach out to relevant audience. Now for example, let us take a small example. I want to say, for example, sell a biscuit. Okay, sell a biscuit to, because I have a small startup, I am making it at a small place. I don't have too much of stock inventory. I want to sell it in one particular city. How am I going to do that? So if I do it through any of the social media, I can target it only to that particular, the city, the area where you want to. For example, we had one startup which was a grocery store, but it was an online grocery store. It was not available everywhere, but that grocery store managed to create a Facebook community in particular 5 kilometer of the radius of where the store was, and they were able to digitally get orders and say process it and deliver good quality grocery to household during the corona time. So such small targeting can be achieved for a medium or a large level startup. For example, they can target regions. So for example, there is a brand who is, say, for example, a brand or use of services which you have been able to cater to, say, 10 cities across the country. So then instead of showcasing your products and brand to entire country, you can target to those particular 10 cities and ensure that people who are actually buyers or who are looking out for your product or services are able to see. So targeted advertising is one of the key perspective for any startup to use for their optimum and most beneficial thing. Content marketing is suitably sending out messages to people uh, at times where you want to connect with them. So in our country, emotional connect with our audience and our customers is much more important than just to sell your product or services. So that's where the content marketing plays an important role, which keeps you and your audiences connected. For example, if anybody who, for example, you as a user, when you are purchasing, say, even a small thing, you're purchasing a toothpaste. Now you will purchase a toothpaste which you are more familiar of, which you have more heard of, which you are more connected of. You, for example, what parents have got from you for a childhood, you may be continuously using that toothpaste even today without going on to कि अरे दूसरा क्या है ट्राई करो. नो. Why? Because you're emotionally somewhere connected to that. कि बचपन से ये कर रहा हूं मैं. So that way emotional connect to the audience is very important when you go for mass marketing, and that is why you see larger brands come up with more appealing advertisements, more appealing content that connects you emotionally to them. Brand endorsements is again another important part of it, where brands get celebrity. Now this celebrity also comes because they come with a popularity, and that popularity has an emotional connect base to their fans. So again, with content then comes brand endorsement, when there is a brand or there is a person. So in today's world, the brand has now changed to influencer marketing, wherein people who have few thousands of followers or even millions of followers created an appeal amongst its audience, and when they say good things about you, the audience relate more. So for example, if I have say 10,000 followers and I say ki particular so and so services were fantastic, or I talk about say McDonald's or Burger King, that I like the service, I like the product, I like the taste, then you will relate more, because I as an individual, I am telling to my fans, and people, because they are following me, they will go and purchase those things or purchase those products. So similarly, in startup, whenever you are selling an idea and your customers or people related, the influential people related to your customers talk about it, it becomes more relevant to the audience. So it is very important to have either brand or influencer marketing as part of your journey, so that a positive narrative is always built. Some popular social media advertising that many larger brands do. For example, this is what I am taking you through, is an Amul ad. Now you see this Amul girl has been there between us since ages now. Simply looking at that character, you will realize even not finding Amul logo prominently in the screen, you know it is Amul. And what they do is as part of their content strategy, they talk and they create cartoons based on what is relevant today. Instead of only selling कि मेरा butter ले लो, दूध ले लो, ये ले लो, they make it relevant to today. But for example, in Corona times when washing hands was very important, better saaf than sorry, and then the Amul girl talking about that, or Mahabharat Ramayana was important part of our. It got released during Corona time. Again, they came up with this ad of Mahabutter when people were sitting at home and watching in Corona times of Mahabharata and Ram. So this connects with the audience very quickly. So it is very important, and you see the photo also, where Mahabharata and Ramayana is been watched by a children or the girl using that they on the butter they are using Amul butter. So it depicts something which will in turn then trigger your mind to go buy that butter and bread and sit and watch. And then that's how the marketing works. Another more social media ads, these are some more examples of how people did creativity during the Corona time. One wrong move can cost your life. Stay indoors, stay safe. Then they relate it with an example of a snake and ladder game. That one wrong move and you're back to the lower numbers. So this is more relevant and content marketing techniques that the companies take advantage of. Similarly, the influencer marketing revolution. There are many stories of rag to riches where we see that people who were almost nobody got into influencer marketing. They created their videos, channels, and everything, and today they are one of the most inspiring stories of the today's generation. Now, when this kind of people having millions of followers have been able to have brands attention, or is because the followership is very loyal to them. Whenever a new video or anything is released, people go and watch out for their content, and they watch out because now they are emotionally or socially connected to them. They might have been talking to their audiences for a long time. They might have been engaging with their audiences. So customer is more than just a run of mill consumer. For example, you just sell and you don't go away, because once you make a customer your customer, you have to sell them again and again and again, because acquisition of customer for a startup is one of the toughest thing to do. But once the acquisition is done, it is important how much more we can sell to them. That is where the success of any startup or any brand lies. Once you have that, then you have to keep engaged and keep selling them the same or the new product again and again, in terms of creating your even more value. And in the tangled mass of information, consumers listen to recommendation, where recommendation is much more valuable. For example, every company is doing ad, but whoever is recommended by my friend, I will be able to trust that brand or that product or that service even more. So that recommendation has become more important in today's world. And unlike only with celebrities, now people are more sympathize with the influencers, due to the influencers use the product and services themselves, and then they in terms of recommend to their fans, followers, and friends. So influencers have become playing a major role in today's startup branding industry. How social media can help startup is first and the foremost thing, the lead generation. Whom do we sell to? It is cost effective, it is easy, it is you can say one of the better ways to reach out to your exact audience who is actually going to use your product or services. For example, if I want to sell something, if I go in a market when if I go to everybody, only there might be 1 or 2% people who will take my product or services. But if I know, because this social media has the data of their preferences, has the data of what people are actually looking for. So when they show an ad of what you are selling as a service or a product to the person who is interested to get that product, the lead generation for you becomes very cost effective. Instead of showcasing to 1,000 people and only 2 people buying, they will showcase to 20 people who are interested to buy. So out of 24 or 5 people will buy your product or services. So that way it is important that lead generation can be, social media can play a major role in your lead generation. Another important thing is lower customer acquisition cost. You don't need to reach out to 1,000 people. They are generic in nature. You can just reach out to 20, 30, 50 people who are looking for your services, and so your acquisition cost comes down. Out of that 50, at least even 5, 10%, so your percentage of acquiring a customers increases, and your acquisition cost is going down because of targeting of to people who are actually going on looking for your product or services. Performance evaluation and tracking. In generic media campaigns, there is no performance evaluation. For example, if you have put say 100 billboards, there is no evaluation tracking method that how many people saw that and how many people actually went and bought to your product. But in digital media, you will be able to get that performance evaluation that 1,000 people saw your ad. Out of that, say 200, 300 people visited your website. Out of that, 30, 40 people add to cart and 10 people have purchased your product. And then people have given recommendation to your product and all of that. So everything can be tracked, monitored, and effectively implemented. That is what is important and helpful. If, for example, any ad campaign is not working properly, for example, 1,000 people are coming to your website or your Facebook or other pages, and everybody is going out, then you will be able to figure out where you are lacking. Then you can improve on those things. People will give you feedback. On that feedback, you can improve your product and services. So performance evaluation tracking in digital media is very strong. Again, geolocation and interest-based targeting advertising serves as a boon, because only where you want to sell, you are able to sell and you are able to do it. So it is important that you can target the right audience. Effective tips is majorly do your market research before whatever you launch, whatever you do. A proper market research is very important, because you should know who is your consumer. You should know who are the people who are going to consume your product or services. You should know who are your investors. So you'll have to have different marketing strategies for everybody. A different marketing strategy for you to be showcased in the startup world, a different marketing strategy for your consumers, a different marketing strategy for the investors. So everything can be catered on the same platforms, just that you can showcase that particular content to different sets of people. Platform used, then you will have to identify which are the audience, which are the platform that is more relevant to you, where you will get audience. For example, there are some B2B startups wherein LinkedIn will be more helpful to them. There are more B2C startups, Facebook will be more helpful to them. Then there are more cosmetic young generational startup in that space, then Instagram will be more helpful to them. So identify the right platform, identify your competitors, look at what your competitors are doing, analyze what is their frequency, how they are, and then create a plan for yourself. Identify a perfect set of audience also. For example, what is the age frame that you are looking at? What is the interest keywords that you are looking at? What is the locations that you are looking at? So all this that when you put in the platform, I think that becomes helpful for you for a definitive strategy which will help you get good results. Same handle for every platform. So it is very important that your brand name, your identity remains same across all the platforms. When you have Facebook page also, Twitter also, Instagram, your look and feel has to be similar, your handle name has to be similar, so that a presence across all platforms remains similar, so people do not confuse you on different platforms and different entities. So it is very important to have that. And build a brand message, tone of communication permanently. Do not keep for example, your brand colors, your relevance, what you are, what you want to do, everything has to be very crystal clear communication, and your tone has to be same for over a long period of time. Please understand, digital media, social media is no short-term journey. You cannot come today, start expecting results from tomorrow, and then go off sometime and then come back again. It is a long-term theory. Consistency is more important in this field, that you be consistently engaging with your consumers for a long time, and that is how you will be able to succeed also. Because with consistency comes, more rapport between your audience. Also, they will also be able to trust you more. They will also be able to know about you more. And as good services you give, people will also give more recommendations. People will give you better ratings, and those better ratings will have in terms of more sales about your product and services. And that is what is more important. Always ensure that whenever you go to your consumer, whenever you are selling it, take a feedback from them, whether good, bad, whatever. Once you take a feedback, you will be able to improve. And when you improve and when you improvise and give to your customer, ask them to write it again for you if they are happy about it. And that will in sense create a more reliability on your brand. And that is what is, I think, more important in today's world, wherein there are thousands of competitions, hundreds of competitions in this field, but reliability is less. There are hundreds of startups coming every day, but not all startups are able to succeed. It is because some startups are good at ideation but not good at implementing. Some startups are good at implementing but not good at branding. Some startups are good at branding, but then customer service and satisfaction is an issue. So everything has to be synchronized in a way that your campaign, your product and service, and your customer feedback and improvisation has to be strengthened enough for a startup to sustain and have a good connect amongst the audience at large. So I think this is a small overview of where digital media and how digital media plays an important role in branding of a startup, being it there. And more than this presentation, I think if there is a question answer series that we can do, we can get more of your questions and connects. That will be more helpful for us as an interaction. This is just a base presentation that I could bring across as a short tips and summary. But if we can take more question answers from here, it will be more good for me also to engage and interact with you all.
Yes, Divyangji, you mentioned very well. Just now, you said that social media and digital branding is a long-term concept. So, in my observation, many of the startup have this mindset, like they need some sort of additional cost when they involve themselves for this social media, and immediately they not observe the outcome. So, what do you suggest? Whether they change this mindset, or have some patience for the outcome from this social media?
See, it's a nice question. I think a lot of small companies or small startup, what they tend to do is use social media, get leads, get business with a very limited budget. Let me tell you, social media with very limited budget will give you very limited results. So, for example, you will have to build your services and products properly before going on to the market and going to the mass market, because with half big things you cannot go out there. You will have to have a proper strategy in place, and immediate results should be avoided on social media, because immediate results some might get, but it will again be a very short term thing. So for long term thing, you will have to plan long term. For example, if you have say a budget of about say 30 lakh rupees a year, then don't make it कि इस महीने हम 15 लाख यूज करेंगे, बाकी सब महीने कभी 25,000, कभी 50,000, कभी make it distributed across the month. For example, at least say use say 2 lakh rupees a month for next say year, so that will be 24 lakh rupees, and then keep that 6 7 8 lakh rupees for a spontaneous or a periodic campaign where you think that your product will be much more sellable. For example, there are times some products are more sellable in say during Diwali time, some products are more sellable at say some different time. So we can definitely use that according to that time, but otherwise also your strategy has to be evenly spread out across the year. It cannot be कि हमने 3 महीना किया, फिर 3 महीना कुछ नहीं किया, फिर 3 महीना किया. So that way then that brand confidence will go away between the citizens, and the competition is already tough out there. If not you, your
Yes.
competitors are reaching out to your audience.
Yeah, true. Uh, we also have some sort of regional language barrier. Let's say if we focus on the English as our communication language in social media, but majority of us have the different language barrier. So how you suggest to have a combination of different regional language in social media promotion or digital branding?
Again, a very good question. Let me tell you a very interesting insight that regional languages work very well on social media. For example, if you have a product which has a mass appeal, in the northern India, you go out with a Hindi English language mix, or you take completely Hindi, it will work even better than only English. For a society segment which is more familiar with English, so you can have multi-language campaign also. In South India, you can use Kannada, you can use other languages specific to the cities and specific to the audiences who prefer them. So you can have same campaign launched in different language, targeted in different region to different set of people. So if the platform, for example, Facebook or Instagram knows that I like, say for example, English more, they will show me in English. If you like, say Hindi more, they will show you in Hindi. Somebody likes Gujarati, they will show you in Gujarati. It is more familiar. They use it as because they have the knowledge of who is liking what is our preferences. So that can be easily done. And regional language gives you better output because that connects with the audience very easily.
Yes,
So that is
true.
possible.
Yes. You mentioned the importance of emotional connect for brand building, and like you mentioned the example of uh, Amul, they use a special cartoon character to share the particular ongoing trends or messages. So how startups or their product have some sort of emotional connection with the user, how they add this emotional content with their product or services?
See, it is always important that you know your customer first. Know their emotional points that why a customer is coming to you or why he is connected to you. It may be even in business to business, they need better services, they need better, way of dealing with things. Or if it is a mass product or a mass consumable product or service, then they need something where they can rely on. Reliability is very important. So their confidence in you is very important, and that's where the emotional that you need to tell them that you understand them, you are thinking about them, you are caring about them, and that is why you are there. And that is more important for a consumer to have in, and that's where the emotional connects come handy. For example, if there is a similar product, there are four competitors, why people should buy you? And that's where the emotional thing comes ki nahi, this is what I believe in more. So if that connect is there, then over the competition you will get an edge to sell your services more.
Yes, very true. Even high tech or major companies are using the core concept to connect with the audience or their customer. Like they are connecting their services or product with nature. They are connecting with their service with like sustainability. Now we have very core content of emotionality like Swadeshi product, right? Uh, local locally available product and nature friendly product. These all are area where
It's
we
always
connect with the
part of
emotional
how
value
better you understand your audience.
of the customer. Yes. Lastly, I just want to have your opinion. Like we have a different option for social media, right? And majority of our youth mostly use these platform for entertainment or some sort of networking. And although the second part of these all social media is just promote business and network and all, so what do you recommend for particular startup to target percentage wise? Let's you mention never rely on one platform, right? So how they involve different combination of social media so that they
So it
will
is
have good outcome?
so it is very simple in terms of if you are a B2 brand, B2B brand, for example, if you are into business to business, then LinkedIn is your core platform. If you are into B2C majorly, wherein your product is a serious product or services, then Facebook can be one of your major platform, because Facebook has one of the largest user base across the world. That can be a major platform. If your platform is more into cosmetics, consumables, youthful things, youthful services, then Instagram becomes your more reliable platform, where more youth are now connected and active on that platform. So, depending on what your startup is, it is where you want to. If you are more into more serious business, and if you're into, say, perception management, or your views are more important, if you're a larger entity, then having a parallel setup on Twitter is also more important, where all the influencers are there across the field. Even the serious influencers are there, non-serious influencers are there. So Twitter becomes, but majorly for business revenue generation perspective, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, these are three major platforms which are working well in today's time. Another thing is, when you want to showcase more of videos, reach out to more of audience, YouTube becomes more relevant in terms of reaching out to your audience, because then there is a genre where you want to reach out to a specific segment, specific type of audience. So that is important that you can do there. So majorly business generation perspective, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram works well. Reach out perspective, YouTube works well, and Twitter is there for perception management.
Yes. Okay, it was very fruitful discussion with you, and you are also doing a great job and contributing a lot for development of entrepreneurship ecosystem. So once again, thank you very much on behalf of Jabalpur Smart City and Jabalpur Incubation Center. I propose a special vote of thanks to you. You accept today's call and share your thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you.